Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another round of sound. This is the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown. I'm Bob Pompeani. We have a lot to get into. Wild card weekend was certainly that. A lot of points being scored, a lot of crazy outcomes. The Penguins are struggling, currently on the outside looking in. What should Ron Hextall do? But the #1 topic tonight on the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown will be the return of Andrew McCutchen. And here to talk about it is the man who broke that story, Jason Mackey from the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, to my left. Your left as well. In the middle is Mark Kaboly from The Athletic, Colin Dunlap, who hosts the Fan Morning Show on 93.7 The Fan. So I'm sure, Jason, everyone's happy about this. To me, there's no downside.
Yeah.
Some people ask, will the Pirates flip him if he gets hot at the trade deadline? He signed a one-year deal. Your take on that?
No, I really don't believe that's why they entered into this, Pomp. I think McCutchen wants to come back here and finish his career as a Pirate. The Pirates want him to come back here and finish his career as a Pirate. The way it was put to me, and I've been saying this all the past couple of days, it's more likely that he plays multiple years in Pittsburgh than they flip him. I'm not saying they won't. If he plays well, if they're out of it, if there's a team, let's say the Mets, that very clearly needs and wants McCutchen, I think the Pirates would kind of be doing him a disservice by denying him an opportunity to get a ring. But ideally, no. I mean, he stays here. He retires here. He lives here. He's embraced by the franchise. They don't flip him.
I've been told this is a victory lap 100%, and they won't trade him for Mike Trout at the deadline.
Well, that's bad.
Is that writing? Is that writing?
No, but I don't think there was any way in the world, because this is an organization that's withstood a ton of bad PR, rightly so. This would be absolutely ridiculous if they traded him for prospects, especially low-level prospects, even if they thought there was a little bit of value in that. I've been told there's no way they're going to trade him, and this is a one-year victory lap.
I don't think they can trade him at this point. You saw the reaction around town, and like I said, not too many people think this is a bad move, even if he does bat 170 and, 4 home runs and gets injured. This is where he needs to be, and I think it's a good PR move, as you said. But we have to put this in perspective, too. I mean, reading what you wrote, it sounded like McCutchen went to them, right?
Yep.
You put Bob Nutting in a bad spot right there where he pretty much has to say yes at that point, because if that gets out, forget it. And he's in that point right now that it's going to be hard to flip him because how much this guy is loved. And what I've learned over these past couple of weeks, and it maybe just reaffirmed to me, that this town's just dying for a winner in baseball. Just dying. They just want to grab onto anything.
But true, he didn't put Bob Nutting in a bad spot. He saved Bob Nutting's you-know-what by coming back here for $1 million. I mean, I've covered the entirety of the Pirates offseason. For 98% of it, people are agitated, questioning what they're doing. They're upset. They're mad at the Pirates. And like Mark said, here comes the golden goose that comes in here, and people are like, oh, the Pirates, I'll go to a game.
Well, I'll be in the middle,
though.
They're still a 90, 95 loss team. Yeah. They don't get much better.
Yeah.
This makes me be interested in a singular story. It doesn't make me be interested in the Pittsburgh Pirates, because I think they're still pretty cheap. I think they still have the wrong owner, and I still think that they're hell-bent on the wrong things. What it does is...
Two separate items.
Correct.
Yeah,
totally. But I feel good about a guy who I know loves Pittsburgh, a guy who I know loves the franchise, a guy who I know wants to have his kids see him play now that understand what their dad does and is a baseball player, and a guy that wants to sleep in his own bed and wants to finish his career and have a victory lap in Pittsburgh. I can feel good about Andrew McCutchen and still feel the exact same way about the franchise, and I do.
You want another PR move? How about Bryan Reynolds? Mark, I want to get to you first.
I thought you were going to say sign Neil Walker.
Well, no, I'm talking about a guy who clearly, I think, has 5 years minimum here at a pretty high level, right? And apparently there's some sort of disagreement on how much he's worth. The Pirates don't want to ever play the market here or pay the market, and I think they should pay the market for once in a while. A guy like him, who's a centerpiece, I think also well-liked around here. Mark, do you see them ever signing a deal with him if it means going over $100 million?
I don't think so. I think they're asking for what they're asking, and what all you guys are writing about, they're asking for pretty much for him to be traded. That might be by design, so nobody does pull the trigger on him, and they could pay him that whatever they owe him over the next couple years or whatever it is. I think Bryan Reynolds is the guy you win with. You're talking about locker room and stuff like that. This guy goes out there and he performs every single year. Let's show the fans. Let's show the other guys. If you do what's right, we'll keep you around and take care of you. But I don't think he's going to get paid what he wants here.
Jason, where is that?
Yeah, I mean, that's well north of 100. I would put it somewhere between 130 and 140. somewhere in that range is
That's
my
actually
best
less
guess.
than he probably can get.
Right.
If it was an open market.
What he's tracking toward is a Matt Olson level contract. Now, right now, he's a little bit below that, and Olson was at 168. So, I mean, where I see this going, Pomp, I don't think they trade Reynolds right now. It doesn't make any sense. You hold on to him, and then I think you hope that things are sort of positive early on, and then they need to close that gap. I've written about this. It's about a $50 million gap between what Reynolds was offered and what he wants. And you got to find a way. I agree. I think Mark said it. This is a guy you win with. You keep guys like that around. I'm also hoping that maybe there's a conversation between Reynolds and McCutchen where Kutch can sort of say, like, hey, man, I took a little bit less than I could have gotten, but, like, it's worked out pretty well for me here. I know what you're thinking. I've been in your shoes. Like, stick around. It can be really good for him.
I wouldn't be stunned if he's traded at spring training after, and Jason, you've seen this, people sift through injuries or there's a big injury to a team that could make a run. I could see that happening. I still think the Pirates are going to trade Bryan Reynolds. I don't think he sees the end of the season here in Pittsburgh.
No.
I agree with that, by the way, Colin. I just think you probably wait until the trade deadline. I think you have to be a little bit aware that you're not, like a player says, I want traded, and you trade him before opening day. Like, I think they're trying to avoid doing that.
I think you also need to be aware of a player who says, I want traded, and keeping him around. What does that do for business?
You think he's still honked off over what they did to him last year? Nickel and dime him?
No, I don't think so. I mean, this is everything I understand about this situation. It's very black and white. Like, it's not Bryan Reynolds saying, I hate Pittsburgh, I don't want to play here, I don't like my teammates. It's not saying, this is what I believe I can get, and I understand where he's coming from with it. He's not wrong. And like, their offer, basically
money, right,
six-ish years, $80 million.
He can afford it.
He's saying, I'm not going to do that.
Well,
and I don't blame him.
The economic system of baseball contributes to all of this, of course. You have teams like the Padres spending crazy. Real quick, I'm going to ask you guys about what you think of the Pirates and their offseason moves. They brought in a 43-year-old pitcher. They brought in an older guy who's going to be with their DH, likely, Santana. They brought in G-Man Choi. They brought in a lot of names who could be good. Jason, what does it result in?
Yeah, I mean, I still see them winning around 74, 75, 76 games. Maybe that's overly optimistic. I actually don't have a problem with a lot of what they did, Pomp. I think Rich Hill can actually be a decent player being around that club. They need somebody like Carlos Santana. Austin Hedges, I don't care if he goes to bat with the chair you're sitting on. I need him to catch and to work with younger catchers. So I'm largely okay with it. It's going to be contingent on the younger group of prospects coming up here and contributing.
It is what it is. I'll go down and I'll cheer and I'll yell and I'll scream for Andrew McCutchen. Until this organization can cultivate young pitching, they don't have a lot of chance.
I don't think I'm the guy you want to ask about this. I'm still looking at 95, 98, 100 loss season. I mean, we're talking about guys like, the first baseman that signs in December for $8 million. Okay, why is he on the market? Probably because he's not very good anymore, I would assume, or so he would have went somewhere else. 43-year-old pitcher, eventually he will struggle. I just see, unless these guys from the minor leagues come up and, go crazy.
That's what you want to see. To me, if you look at a team that has guys like, let's say Castro does well, O'Neill Cruz does well, you bring in some of these pitchers you've talked about, they do well, all of a sudden there's something to build on.
Yeah.
To me, that's how I would frame this season. At least that's what I would hope to see. When we come back, we're going to talk about what happened in the NFL this weekend and how it could impact potentially the Pittsburgh Steelers. That's next, right here on the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown.
#1 Cochran Sports Showdown is brought to you by #1 Cochran. Go one better.